Testing, testing. Oh, thank you. We're ready today. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Witness, for joining us today. I would like to add to the questioning, but I will start off first by reading some statements. You are the first alleged perpetrator to face the commission, having been confronted with your alleged crimes 1 month prior to meeting us. I think it was a letter that was sent to you. Please realize that this process will cost the international community and Liberians over $6 to $8 million. To date, we have received over 16,000 statements from victims around the world. We have visited every county in Liberia and met with hundreds of victims who suffer from the Liberian tragedy. Currently, we are restructuring our inquiry unit to facilitate the final phase of our work prior to our detailed consultation on the way forward for Liberia. In this process, it is this process rather, not our personal choice or thinking, which defines the structure of those who will be classified as alleged perpetrators, or those who will bear the greater burden of responsibility of our national crisis. First of all, I am proud of you in the sense that on all of this foundation, you still chose to willingly come here and meet the TRC. That is something that is very special for you in history. But please realize that though we are not a court, if all perpetrators, alleged perpetrators, deny their involvement in atrocities recorded through our process, a process which is costing the people of the world $6 to $8 million, that we will have no recourse but to recommend the need for a special court in Liberia to deal with those who our records show bear the greater burden of responsibility, instead of going the way of reconciliation and finding peaceful solutions. Okay, on that foundation, now I'll start with my first question. First, I'm trying to understand your direct link to the various periods of investigation. We have about 4 investigative periods that we're looking at. One was from 1979 to 1985. Another was from 1985 to about 1991. A third was from 1991 to 1997, and a fourth was from 1997 to 2003. So let's start with the first one. First of all, could you help me by let me know when your birthday? When were you born, please?
March 21, 1963.
March
21,
1963.
63.
Okay. So from 1979 to 1985, were you in any way involved in any military action or atrocities in this country? Okay. So you're a peaceful Liberian citizen.
Yes.
All right. Then, from 1985 to 1991, you told us something about you sought refugee with INPFL camp after leaving the Lutheran Church, right?
Yes.
And that you were there when Doe died around October 1990. But do you deny any active involvement with Prince Johnson's forces in 1990, during the 1990 period?
Do I deny
yeah.
active involvement?
Yeah, in other words, were you just a refugee in the camp?
No, sir, I didn't say that, sir. I did not say that, sir.
Okay, that's why I want clarity.
No, sir. I say from time to time I was with the fighting forces from time to time. I said that, sir.
Okay, thank you. That's good. Okay, then what did you do, for example, from October 1990 to 1992? Can you tell me about what was happening that time? Because you said in 1992, Operation Octopus or something like that, you went to America, right?
Yeah.
So what about from October 1990 to 1992?
So I say I came to Monrovia like it was around May or late October. Mm-hmm. That was when I came to Monrovia. That was when I came to town. And when I came to town, there is there's a Lebanese guy who provided me accommodation, and I said if you allow me, after here, you want his name, sir, I can give you his name, not to bring him to this. I mean, I can tell you that. So he provided me this accommodation. But immediately when I came, I started to do trading, and I started this trading with the 72 Airborne Battalion. That was the last group, that was the last Nigerian contingent group that I was with, and I started trading with them in sneakers. I would buy sneakers from stores, because at the time, stores were not really opening up their door. They would sell to the side, so I would get sneakers and take it to them. So around the end of October, early November, the stores started to open. So when the stores started opening, they had a way of buying it whenever they had to come. So now they came in time and bought it. Then just about that time, the 123 battalion that was assigned somewhere around the Virginia area, they had a buffer with the MPFL, and when I would go to the buffer, it was almost like a buffer which almost became like a trading area also. So they would bring a charcoal into, and I thought that I could venture into charcoal. From there they would bring it, and I would take it and bring it to town, and sell it. So basically, that was what I was doing around that time.
That's 1990, right? November?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Until when? How long did you do like this?
There where I'm going to.
Okay.
So just about that time, there was some confidence building within the Monrovia area. So I got in contact with a guy called Butler. He used to work at the Ministry of Information. He had a building where now they had the fast food area. So I took that place from him. It used to be a club. I took in started a club there sometime in November of the same 1990. And just about that time when stores started to open a little bit, there was a lot of looting around, and I got some ex-police officers together, and I started to do this private watch thing, which was turned into a security firm. So basically, sir, that's what I was doing in between that time from 1990 up towards 91. And it was somewhere around 91 when I got the contract to do with the Liberian Electric Company and the Catholic Archdiocese of Monrovia. That's when I started to spread and establish my clients. So between 91 and 92, that was what I was doing. And I hope you don't mind, because your question is I'm going back over what I said. So around 91, 92, that was when I got arrested somewhere on Carey Street, taken to the post docket. The next day I was let out, and I left the country.
Okay. In 92, what month was that, please?
Just about the same time Octopus was just about to unfold.
April, March, May.
Octopus was, exactly that month I don't know, but like I said earlier, for example, the current Minister for Defense, who let me out, if he has a good memory, he would have an idea of what time. I think it was
okay. Thank
September,
you very much.
October. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we heard about October maybe.
Okay.
Okay, so basically you were then involved with Johnson's group, and while you were involved, you were doing this trading business, etc.?
No, sir. I have already left the base. I was in town. This guy gave me a place somewhere around Mama Point, and like I said,
okay, your period of involvement was only that 2-3 month period.
Was over.
And you never had any other relationship with Mr. Johnson again?
Never.
Okay,
never.
That's the point I want to clarify. Okay. All right, then going down to the next phase, the 1991 to the 1997. So you left then around October 1992. You came back around April 1996.
Yeah.
And then you got arrested during the same time of what we call Operation Payday, the April incursion.
I think I came at around March, April, somewhere in between
March,
there.
okay.
I'm just saying between there, March and April. That was when I came back.
Okay. And then from that time on, you were sort of arrested and you saw this action going on.
So the
And-
thing is, then let me just remind you, and like I still say, you can ask the entire Monrovia. When I mean entire, there were other gas services, for example. My business was still working while I wasn't here. So it's not like because I wasn't here, so the business ceased.
Or you had representatives on the ground that were carrying out.
Yes, sir,
Your business.
it was a structure.
Okay, so you were receiving profits and benefits abroad while you were out during that time?
Well, at that time it was like difficult to remit money out of here. There was still some fragility.
So they used to save it for you or what?
Well, basically what it was I had families here that maybe they had to, because just by that time it went kind of slow, but it was still there. In fact, the office that I occupy today is the same office that I occupy since 1990.
And where is that office, please?
It's on Gurley Street, between Curie and Benson Street.
And what's the name of this company that you...
It's called North Star, Northstar.
M-R...
North.
M-O-R-T-H...
North Star.
Stock. Okay. General Import Exporting?
Well, it's North Star Enterprise Incorporated.
And that was the same company that was controlling your security agency?
Yeah, our main line of business was the security.
Okay, thank you. All right, so then coming back to this April 6th event now, so how you explained to us that you started getting associated now with MPFL and ULIMBO just around that time.
That's correct, sir.
Okay, so I'm sort of concerned about how long were you with them and what were your responsibilities during that association period?
Well, when I was with the both groups, my responsibility was to ensure that the enemy did not cross towards Center Street into the Mama Point area. That was my responsibility.
And what kind of title did they give you at that time?
I'm sorry?
What kind of title did they give you at that time? Buck Private, Master Sergeant? Or?
No, sir. If my memory serves me right, which I thought was the structure, we didn't really know one another. I was just like a target commander.
Okay, target?
Yeah, I mean, it was not a target, meaning like you have an area to operate in and you are responsible. Because I remember, basically, like you have this area and you are the lead person in this area, so I was like a target commander. This was the area. This was my area of responsibility. So I was in charge of this.
So how many men did you have under your control at that time?
Well, again, this was not like your conventional army, because the way we got there was that you had people from NPFL providing men, and you had people from ULIMBO providing men. So, I mean, it happened so sudden at the time that I can remember the number, because I remember initially when
approximately 100, 50, 10?
No, that would be maybe between 30, 35 initially. So when we got in the area, when the fighting started to get prolonged, then there was always additional reinforcement coming in. But like I said, this was not a conventional army like that, you know. So people would come and people would leave, but you were given a responsibility. You would have to make sure that there were some people there at a time.
Okay. Now, with that kind of responsibility, you had weapons under your control, ammunition. You had other facilities like this.
Sorry, sir.
You had weapons, ammunition, etc., under your control for you and your men to carry out your responsibility.
Well, sir, every man that came, they already came from a unit. They already had weapons with them when they came.
Oh, so it was like a joint unit from the ULIMBO fighters and the MPFL fighters coming with their already engaged arms to come together and form a new joint project, like.
Yes, sir. It was not like starting something anew. It was already an institution that was already there.
Okay. Now, another point you brought up during the same period that's very interesting to me is we were under the impression that Limbo sort of came up during this period to sort of resist the advances or the situations of the MPFL. They were given the previous title of being the intransigent group. But now you're telling me that this period, they were working as partners. So I would like to know who was the enemy now,
Well,
in that case.
that was, if you ask anybody who was living in Monrovia, they would tell you better, because that was what kind of like surprised me earlier when I said, when I was arrested in the Gardnersville area, it wasn't by MPFL, it wasn't by ULIM, it was by both groups.
Was it J and K issues at that time?
No, and I'm told that the whole thing about the April 16th started because Mr. Roosevelt Johnson was supposed to be arrested.
Okay,
so
like K.
So the both groups came together and had one common enemy, which was Mr. Roosevelt Johnson.
And during that time, it was probably the third LNT, was it the Liberian National Transitional Group? Under whose leadership was that again?
Well, I don't know, but I remember there was Taylor, there was Krumah.
Okay. Thank you.
I think the Bully, I don't know, there were several presidents.
Okay. Next, during the last phase now, from 1997 to 2003, you told us that you were called somehow by Mr. Taylor to assist in the military advance of the LERD and the Model, but especially with regard to protecting the situation in Nimba. Could you just clarify that? Is that the general feeling that I'm getting from what you said previously?
No, sir. What I said was when the LERD incursion kind of like really started getting there. Initially, I had come from the States one time when there was an incident in Vonjema. So he had asked me to go to find out exactly what was happening there. But instead, we didn't get to Vonjema. We got to Kolahom. And I was there for a couple of days, and I decided that I'd be brought back because where I was sent was Vonjema and not Kolahom. And then a little while after that, we went from the Bon County side, we went and we stopped as far as Tenebu, which was the airport area also. And I came back and tried to give him the briefing what unfolded there at the time. And there were times that, I mean, like I said earlier, there were times that in going to do this verification, there would be fighting. I would also have to get involved with the fighting.
So officially, what was your position or title? Because that was a more legitimate government at that time, right? 1997 to 2003. Yes, sir. So you were in the military, the Liberian military, or what?
No, sir.
Special forces, or what?
No, sir. I had said earlier that I was invited and enlisted, how you call it, into the Special Security Service as a way of advising him on some security matters. That's what I thought I said.
Well, so you were already a private type security man. You had your own business, and he just called you in based on your past experience to advise him, or what?
Well, sir, like I said earlier, which is just the fact.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand that.
Yeah, no problem. I don't have a problem with that. Once you are associated with a warring situation, whenever there is a situation on the ground, you will be called upon.
So meaning that previous association with ULIMBO, MPFL,
yes, sir,
during that 1996, gave you the credentials to be.
Well, sir, it's not a credential.
Well, I mean, it just gave you put you in that position to be called.
Well,
otherwise than that, you would have had no sort of.
Well, sir, what I would say to that is that honestly, my association with the two groups at the time made me sort of vulnerable.
But it also gave you the experience of to be called as somebody who could give advice.
Well, sir, if you choose that, your choice of words.
No, I'm just trying to say, because technically, if you take that part out of your life, you have no other military exposure except for your short 3 months with Prince Johnson.
Well, sir, exactly.
Okay, so that's why I'm saying that must have been the element in which he used for this 1997.
Well, sir, I would just think that when I was with Mr. Joseph for this time, and I came in time and I had this April 16, to deal with, and I was able to maintain that position. And when I left and when I came back, I felt that he thought that I could be, of some help to him.
Yeah, good man.
What I think.
Trusted you. Okay, so then when he put you in this position now, were you given a responsibility? Were you a head of something, or a part of a Marine group or anything, or you were just this freelance consultant or advisor?
No, sir. I mean, like I said, from time to time, he would call me and ask me to follow up on situations from time to time.
Okay.
But it was during 2003 that he didn't call me, that I asked that I wanted to go to Nimba because the commander who was responsible for Lofa had just died while the Lura was fighting for control of Banga, and headed towards Nimba. I chose that I wanted to go there, so it was not his invitation that I go there. So he accepted.
So that 2003, what month was that you sort of enlisted in that time, your services to protect the people of Nimba, or what?
Well, sir, if enlisting is it, then I said, but like I said, I decided that I had wanted to go. That was around February, late February, March. No, let's say around March, because Ganta actually fell March 29.
So you were part of the then military, the government military forces protecting Nimba during that attack?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just wanted to get a clear-cut reality or something.
No
Okay.
problem, sir.
So prior to that then, the 1997 to the 2003, that was just being called in for a special mission, go check this out, go do that, come back, tell me what you think, this kind of thing, right?
Yes, sir. But
only in 2003.
Sir, sorry, I still want you to understand that even if I went to, if I went in an area, for example, let's assume I came to, say, Vahum or so, to do investigation, and in the process, that area was attacked. I was also a part of the fighting force.
So did you have militia equipment, things on, you have gun protection, you were dressed and ready to get involved, or you were one of those plainclothes spies type things?
No, well, sir, I wasn't a spy, and I don't even think there's anything like that called protection or whatever.
It's military means you must have a gun, you must have something to protect
yes,
yourself.
sir.
And non-military spy means you have a normal suit, but it's a hidden gun or whatever?
No, sir. When there was war, I would always get gun, to fight back.
Okay, so it means that from 1997 to 2003, you were off and on militarily engaged.
Yes, sir.
To protect this country. Okay, that's what I want to understand. Okay. Thank you. Now, with that kind of background, then I can start my questions now.
Yes, sir.
Please give me your response to the various allegations that were made against you by the TRC witnesses, as per the letter from the TRC dated to you August 8, 2008. You started off, there were 9 counts put there in front of you, but you started off by denying 2 of them, the ones that were in 1990, etc. But what about the other 7 that did talk about issues where you have already told us you were militarily engaged,
yes,
in 1996 and in 2003, etc., etc.? Do you at least concur with those incidents, or are you also denying those?
Well, sir, I think I don't mind going over it. I think I almost address all of those counts, and for the purpose of where we are, if I need to go over it, I can go over it. I started off by the question that Shika from Makone had asked concerning the death of Stephen Daniels also, and I said I was never at that location because at night.
Well, let's deal with it one by the paper. You want us to deal with this?
That's what I'm trying to do. Sir, if I have your permission, can I have a copy of...
Oh, you didn't? Okay, I can get you a copy, I guess.
Yeah,
but
please.
Do you mind if I just read them? Yeah, because this is my only copy. Okay, for example, the third one. Ordered persons killed in Monrovia in 1996. Do you deny that you ordered anyone at all, no matter what circumstance, condition, to be killed 1996?
No,
at
sir.
any time? No, you deny that. Okay, good. Next. Ordered the commission of arson and destruction of property in Monrovia 1996. Do you deny that at all, altogether?
Sir, I think I mentioned that that where I was on the Center Street area, Center Street towards Mama Point, we didn't have any incident like that. And I still remember very well from a distance, those who were in Monrovia were somewhere like in central Monrovia area around the bypass area where the government troop did not, the ULIMO and NPF did not have access to. All of us saw this burning, and it did not happen in the area where we were at.
So you deny any involvement in that? Of any arson or destruction of public property or private property, anything? Well, 1996.
Well, sir, then towards that, I still would like to clarify. If in the process of like fighting or exchange of fire...
Yes, anyway, correct.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If in the process of fighting, exchanging fire where you shoot and shots will go
correct.
to hit buildings or so, then those happen. But you arson where you like go and just like set people's house or places ablaze, that did not happen.
No, it was in line of your work, of course, as a military.
No, but in line of my work don't mean like where you go to like, burn people places or so. That cannot be in line of my work. So I just thought to make sure if that's what you were saying.
It just says ordered the commission of arson and destruction of property in Monrovia, 1996. Now it means as a military person, you were in command of something and you made a command or decision that these things had to be done. Now you may justify it in any military way, but was there any destruction of property as a result of commands given? That's all.
Well, I will need to understand the question well, because
all right.
I will say to you again, it's true we were fighting in Monrovia, but we were fighting in Monrovia, but to say that, arson, if I understand your definition of arson, that would mean like burning of area. Is that your definition of arson?
Okay,
deliberate
somewhere on fire.
Deliberate burning of area, do you consider that?
You may have thought enemies were in there and you decided to give the order to burn it, but at the end, it was burnt.
Well, so what I'm saying, sir, that was not the case in the area where we were, and I still go back to you. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. Personally carried out acts of torture, physical assault, and forcible displacement in Garnersville, 1996.
Well, sir, again, where I stayed...
Yes or no,
No. It's not just yes or no, I say yes or no. Where I stayed in Garnersville, I stayed in a man's house called Mr. Dayu. He used to have a block factory. His house is right in the road around the Garnersville area. And he's deceased, but his children are still there. When I left my house on April of that time, I did not go back to that house again. I became displaced myself somewhere on a what's the street called? Somewhere across the bridge, Jamaica Road area, and the person who provided me his place to stay is alive today, and if you like me to immediately after here, I can also reference you to that. So I was not even able to go back to where I was staying until after everything subsided. Then I had to relocate.
So then you deny that you were involved in anything in Garnersville, 1996. Thank you. Okay, also ordering the killing of all residents in a town in Grand Jide County in 2003, as well as killing of any individuals seeking to flee across the border in Ivory Coast. You denied any involvement of that?
Well, sir, to that, what I would tell you, and I say to the Commission, to Liberians in the diaspora, and to those who are listening, sir, if truth is what people come here to say, if anybody, and if you can even ask, and even the people who fought for Model, I mean, they're all human beings like ourselves. If they ever came and told you that I ever went to Grand Theater, then I see myself guilty. I never, ever went to Grand Theater in the course of the 2003 war, and I want to go further, sir. Reason being simple. My first engagement with Model was immediately after the fall of Banga. After we had recaptured Ganta. That was after that. I was supposed to go to Tapeta, and I was called to come back to Monrovia. So that could not be possible because they had already taken Tapeta, and in order to go to Grand Theater, you will have to pass through Tapeta to go to Grand Theater. So this could never have been possible.
Okay.
And like I said earlier, just in case you were not listening, I have maybe documents that you might want to verify, telling you where I was from this point to that point. Meaning if there was war in Grand Theater, I could not have been there at all.
All right, thank you. The other two, you've already confessed to those, so it's not necessary. The last one is committed aggregate assault by shooting someone in Monrovia in 2003. Do you remember shooting any innocent civilian at all in 2003? I'm not talking about the enemy now, because the enemy, naturally, that could happen.
Sir.
Okay, thank you.
It didn't happen.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll move on to the next one. We have records to show that a lot of innocent people died during this civil conflict of this country. Somebody had to kill these people. And we realize that many of the leaders of the MPFL and other groups are sort of trying to tell us that they had no policy with regards to hurting innocent people. So my concern is, how did these innocent people just strangely die? If it wasn't the policy of the fighting groups that they were fighting according to international law, targeting only their enemies and protecting the innocent, then how did these innocent people just die like this? And was it just the resentment of private fighters doing their own thing, or private commanders seeking out personal revenge against people on their own on the side? Would you like to add anything to this discussion? I'll just leave it at that level as a question.
Well, sir, let me just say this for what I experienced myself. In the IMPFL, for my time with them, there was some discipline, and I don't at any point in time remember a soldier, foot soldier of IMPFL like shooting anybody. For the mere fact that, and I'm not saying that they didn't do it if they did, but because the reason is that the structure of the IMPFL was a little so unique that people were always held accountable for something. I mean, there was that difference. That was the difference that I saw in the IMPFL on one hand, and the MPFL and ULIMO from one hand. I gave an example, like if you was a Commander A and was sent to work with a Group B, for some time, maybe the Group B will work with you, and later on, if maybe somebody in the Group B will say, look, in fact, you are not my commander, I'm not going to work with you. But that was not the case in the IMPFL. There was some more discipline in the IMPFL from, what I saw amongst the group. So, again, I've heard about this same massacre, like the Carter Camp and the Dupero thing, but at those times...
hundreds of them, hundreds, all over the country.
Yes, sir. Well, then at those times, in where I was, I didn't remember hearing those things. Even like in the case of Nimba, for example, where it was alleged that the AFL soldiers at the time may have committed some atrocities or so. I had no way of verifying that. In fact, we were in Monrovia when we heard that those things happened. But that those things ever happened, I cannot sit here and tell you that they actually happened. Those were just things that we all heard.
Thank you. So it seems these people who were strangely killing our innocent citizens were so smart that none of the leaders in these various fractional groups were watching or seeing anything, and the information was just hidden. So my next question then becomes...
I didn't hear that, sir.
No, I'm saying it's just strange. I mean, we see the dead bodies all over the place. We go to the sites, we see it happening, but yet we're not able to get any kind of, message from those who would be the leaders that could come and tell us something. But my next question is,
no, sir,
who do you think...
Before you end your statement, I just thought to come in. And I say to you quite frankly, and I'm saying, everything I'm saying to you on an oath.
No, I respect that.
Yeah, and take for example, every area had people responsible for those areas. Take for example, like some part of Lofa, for example, maybe we'll have a chief of staff, maybe like the Navy Division, another part might have another group, the Army Division. And so if they will come here and cannot explain anything, in their area, I will find that troubling, because like if you were listening, if you were not here at the time or so, I remember an incident where civilians came out of a place in Lofa called Popala Home that that I had sent to go to a VAR home, because the fighting was in a Popala Home area. And on my way back, the young man that was sent to bring in these people, the next day I met him. And when I met him, I had asked him, where are the people that you were, for example, supposed to come with? And he told me that, this commander said that these people, should stay with him. And I asked him, why you want these people to stay here? He said, because this is their home, for example. And I think we were about 5, plus the young man I met, we were like 6. So we walked through that. That I remember vividly. And when I came, I told Mr. Taylor exactly, what had happened. And I think he did what he had to do. So I don't think that other commanders who were in these areas who saw these things, I don't think they would come and not say that which they saw, and they know happened. I don't think, they will say so, because at the end of the day, all of what we come and say here, whether it's in denial or it's in saying the truth, this is something we'll have to confront ourselves with for as long as we live.
Correct.
So there's just no way that I will be a part of something. I'm not going to come here to shift blame and say, this person made me do this, that person made me do this. I made some bad choices in life, and those bad choices that I made in life, I will have to, live with it, for as long as I live. And I think I should, in my own situation, I should be very frank and bold enough to tell you exactly what I did. And I can only hope that all of what I tell you, you will believe me for what it's worth, and you can still do sufficient investigation. And if I have to be called again, I will be willing to come, to tell you exactly what I did. I have no reason why I should come to you and try to keep some back and, tell you what I know, don't say it.
No, thank you very much, because that was really my next question, because I'm concerned about who should be held responsible for the death of these innocent people. But you have alluded to a very interesting point, because there is a part of our work that's under the inquiry that we're now currently restructuring, where we have to deal with all of these military groups, knowing their high command, their structures, who was responsible for what area, at what time, and linking that with the overlay of these massacres that took place and the death of our people. And then these individuals now, once we know their names and addresses, will have to come forth and speak. And I know I'm grateful that you, being one of the first, will be able to stand up for that ideal and come help us with the information we need for that time.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So next, have you personally ever experienced any major trauma or other psychological disturbance as a result of this conflict period?
Well, I think we live it, and if you begin to like reflect back on all of what we are trying to deal with it, that I would say, and it bothers you. Sometimes you have these bad reflections about what have happened, and sometimes you are driving and areas that you may have had, like for example, in my own case, just around Clay Street and around BDC Junction, for example, there were almost who have died. So every time I drive by, I kind of. So the answer would be yes.
Yes. Okay. I just wonder, have you had any spell of treatment for it, or you've just been sort of dealing with it personally?
Well, once in a while, seek counseling, with people, and.
I understand. Okay, next, you stated that you did not see the Liberian Civil War from a tribalistic perspective, yet history has shown that the bulk of the fighters were from certain ethnic groups, like the Crown in the case of Doe's activity from 1985 to 1990, and the Nimbadians in the case of the MPFL from 1989 to 1997. Are we to assume, are you saying that this was just a naive heart of yours, that you were trying to see the nation from an innocent perspective? Or,
No,
and
sir.
if so, because I'm confused when you made that statement back there. It was sort of shocking to me. Because we seem to see it clearly in the history that there was this sort of a tuggle between ethnic groups in our conflict period.
Well, sir, I stand by everything I said, and the reason why I believe, I didn't see it that way, was like, in also the University of Liberia Student Union presidency that we had at the time, we had a mixture of people. I remember when this arrest happened at the Lutheran Church, there were people from Grand Jide, there were people from Bassa, there was people from, so even people who were from Grand Jide and saw that there was a problem within the status quo, they didn't say because I was from Grand Jide, so I was like, going to be on the one side. It didn't happen that way. I remember when we got arrested, it transcended political party issue, because I remember it was Sim and a soup that came together, and there was no Sim, there was no soup. So it really wasn't like that. And I'm afraid, and I stand to be corrected, that when we grew up, much like in Nimba, yes, we recognized there were Mandingo people. We recognized there were Gilpo, there was Mana people. But that division, as in division, I didn't see it like that. My father could go to another friend of his who was Mandingo. We coexisted. And to be very frank with you, when this thing started with Doe and Kuongpa, I still didn't see it as a tribal thing. When it really got to mean that a tribe was involved, that was when people of Nimba began to seek refuge in one community where, for example, you go there and it gets to be predominantly Nimba, and that really happened when these people were beheaded. Because I remember sometime,
Which people? Could you clarify that?
well, I didn't know who they were, but there were 3 persons who were beheaded. That was in the Daily Observer newspaper back
Oh,
then.
okay.
And it was alleged that these people were from Nimba. But by the beheaded head, I couldn't tell whether they came from Nimba or did not come from Nimba. So that's when I started to see a little personally, because
I see.
I saw Kuankpa and Do as 2 friends, and whatever happened between them, I mean, I don't know, I just thought they would have taken it from that perspective, but then from where we came from to where we are now, I mean, it became a real trouble situation, and I don't know.
No, okay, I understand now. You just said that it did gradually dawn on you and you saw that reality. But
Yeah.
it's just that beginning. So at
Yeah,
that
but
point, I
by the same
understand.
token, it's still difficult. I know it's there, but this is something because, for example, you find people from Nimba, Managio who got children by people from Granjida. You got people from Granjida that got children from Nimba, and you got Mandingo that got children by Managio, and you have the same thing. So, I mean, I say to myself, is this really trouble? And I still keep asking myself whether this is trouble, because there's no way you, for example, marrying into my family and having a child, I will take that child as my child, but I would denounce the father as being my in-law. So I do agree. That's why I say that it is true that this water came. Was a lot of madness, yes. And that's just what I think, it is, because there are certain things that you just cannot change. I had a child, for example, by your daughter, or you had a child by my father, so I cannot change that fact. I mean, whether I like you or don't like you, we are family and will be family by virtue of the common denominator we may have, for example, in terms of the child. So
I understand. There's one thing we've been noticing as we've been traveling. We've been noticing that during the time of the conflict period, there were a lot of issues or situations where children, women were forcefully displaced from their original home and carried to the Nimbadian area.
Carried to?
And carried to the Nimba area for resettlement of some sort by outside of their own will to some military activity during this period of time. Have you, now standing in the position of a representative of this county, have you been confronted with any complaints or concerns from people with regards to this type of situation? And is there any action being taken to see how it can be remedied?
If I'm understanding you, where people were relocated against their will, for example, from Bong to Nimba, from Granjida to Nimba also?
Correct. Either
Well,
by forced labor, carrying arms or carrying goods for people, or some other way, forced white, what they call slave, forced slave, sexual slavery, etc. This type of thing. And many of these women now have children, and these children and the women are there living in a strange environment that they didn't really want to live in, this type of situation.
Well, sir, what I can tell you for a fact is that the war got a lot of people displaced in different parts, and all along, Nimba had been a very rainbow kind of society, and like I said earlier in my testimony, that past leaders from Nimba and current leaders that are in Nimba will tell you and the commission here that I personally don't know Nimba like that. Didn't know Nimba like that. I can't say that now. Didn't know Nimba like that, like I know it now. The only part of Nimba that I really knew was Sanikwele. But having said that, we still do have a lot of people from different backgrounds, and maybe it will also interest you to know, and if you have the time, I would like for you to, maybe the commission, to go further to find out. Like, there's always been this problem in Ganta that you may have heard about. But you'll be also surprised to know that a lot of the properties that are in question, or that were in question, where people say, and that's the way it was said, that I said, I didn't think that was okay, that the Mana people are against the Mandingo people, or the Mandingo people are against the Mana people. That had never been the case, and as I speak to you today, that is still not the case. What had happened there was that, for example, Dolo have a problem with Kafuma. Peter have a problem with Vakava. But that didn't mean that it was the whole Mana people who were against the Mandingo people. It was the whole Mandingo people that are against the Mana people. And just in case you didn't know this, most of those stores that you see operating in Ganta, like all of these things we started hearing for time past, they're not owned by Mana or Gio. The bulk of those stores are owned by people who are not Mana and Gio. And as I speak to you today, you can call anybody and try to find out, for example, who is operating this store, who is operating. Just name any popular place, for example, in Ganta that is owned by a Mandingo man, and I will tell you who is occupying that place, for example. So I don't deny that Mana and Gio are occupying some of those places. But the way it's been presented to Liberia is as though all of those who are there are Mana, which is not true. I mean, in some of those stores, you have Basa, you have Pele, who are in these places. So to say that Mana have something against Mandingo, or Mandingo have something against Mana, is not really the case in Nimba like that.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. You've expressed your thoughts on that question. It's something that we are seriously concerned about, and we'll probably follow up with you later. Now, the next one is a delicate question, but again, I just wanted to throw it at you. You were able to cross the line between the MPFL, the IMPFL, and the MPP. Could you share with us the history of how and why this MPFL had to split into the INPFL, and why Taylor, unlike Johnson, focused on ruling with the gun instead of transforming his life and the nation by leaving the front line after Dole's death? Do you in any way believe Mr. Taylor was afraid of some ghosts around him from the past actions, so he saw himself necessarily having to perpetuate this armed and violent approach as compared to quickly reconciling with the past and dealing with a peaceful future? Would you like to comment on this issue? It's a very delicate point that we're all concerned about.
If I would give you, from where I sit now, hindsight, I will first of all start out by saying that, and not only me, a lot of us in this room here, up to 1990, July, August, those of us who were in the Cinco area, who hadn't come in town, they know there was an IMPFL and there was an MPFL. Most of us in this room who were there, we didn't know that time. So as to why they broke away, I don't know, because I wasn't there. But you said about who said a gun that don't do what now?
Yeah, I mean, after Dole was killed now, the mission of those two MPFLs were basically concluded. So why didn't we just see our nation going into a more peaceful approach? Why did Mr. Taylor now decide to go forward with the MPP government issue and this violence, etc.? You being somebody who transitioned through all of these groups.
You say NPP or NPFL?
Well, with MPFL, then after the election, it became a type of political party grouping now under a government, a legitimate government. But some of the methodologies and ideas were similar in that the leaders were still there carrying out these same type of actions against human rights laws.
That's what I say from where I sit and reflecting back on all of what I unfolded before me. I will tell you, and I would tell you quite frankly that had, for example, IMPFL been a real big force, maybe it would have been different. That's because I got to know a fact that considering where they said it came from, you know, fighting Doe on the one hand, fighting MPF on the one hand, they did like the bulk of the fighting, but they were not, in my view, a force that had enough men, to hold the ground. So probably the reason why they chose the path that they chose could have been because they didn't have enough men or enough military hardware. But then come to think about it, I was in Monrovia when the interim government came. And from my vantage point, the relationship between the IMPFL and the interim government was not so cordial. So it would seem, in my view at that time, like the space was kind of too small for both people. Whatever they may have had in terms of discussion, how it went, I wouldn't know. But it would have been, in my view, a prudent thing that, like you rightly said, well, my mission was to do this, and that this is done, I'll back away. But that the both of them did not have that cordial relationship would tell me that if indeed the IMPFL was as big as the MPFL, probably, and I say probably, maybe the interim government would not have been able, to come because they were just in a low enclave, and because of the low enclave they were in, when I got with them, that's why they were so defensive. Their defense was most time, offense, because it was just in a small area, so that the gun that liberates should not rule. That could be a thought, but how that thought would have been translated into, how it would have been manifested, would have been, in my view, from the relationship that would have existed with the interim, government, because now there was a civilian government. And I think maybe it's one of those things that I thought that, take for example, I would say, well, my being there was because of this, that I wanted to be there. Now that I have a third option, so I sought the third option, that's how I would think. But as to why Mr. Taylor would choose to go the political route, the NPP or so, I don't think it was wrong to organize, for anybody for that matter, to organize a political party. What I think all Liberians were against was to, have fighting here and there. And I don't think Liberians would have had problems had all of us who felt we had something with the government had maybe organized ourselves, into a political party. So that would be my comment to your question, sir.
Okay, thank you. Next one is a follow-up to that. At any time during the 1998 to 2003, did the government of Liberia reach out to the rebels for a peaceful settlement of the matter, being that these were not foreign forces but our own citizens attacking their own mothers, fathers, brothers, and sisters in protest to Taylor's rule? Did this action in any way touch any of you in power or in with those in power to stop the fighting? Why did it take so long from 1998 to 2003? Was it that your vision of patriotism didn't include the innocent suffering citizens of Liberia, or was most of the MPP leadership afraid of Taylor? I'm trying to understand something. That's why I've made it a long-ended question, but hoping that you can give me some substance.
Well, sir, I tell you it with no disrespect to Mr. Taylor and the rest of the Liberian people. During the elections of, I think, 87 or so, I voted for Mr. Taylor, but that didn't make me a partisan. The first party I've ever joined in my life was the Liberian Action Party. Yes, I sympathized with Mr. Taylor during the elections. I worked with Mr. Taylor, prior to, during, after the election. But as to whether Mr. Taylor reached out to the other Liberians who maybe felt disenchanted. Did he really do much? I can't say yes. I cannot say that. But what I can say and what I knew was that when there was all of these, so many presidents, the interim presidency, after the elections, they all had people that were with them, like security and the rest of it. And this thing where you have a winner-take-all situation is not really a good thing. At some point in time, people need to take the moral high ground to reach to other people. I mean, there were a lot of these young fighters, both young and old, who felt a little displaced. Didn't feel, in as much as that alliance was there with the NPP, didn't feel so comfortable with the NPP because they didn't know them, like that. And there were times when the NPP would try to reach out to one or two, but they would just be one or two. There was no real program of real integration. And a lot of the reason also was that a lot of young people who fought, for example, just didn't know anything other than fighting. So it became a little difficult to maybe integrate them, into like real workforce. So what could have been done was either to like have a program that they could have been enrolled into. But whether they did, whether the NPP government at the time did a lot to reach out to them, that I can say. They did reach out to them. I think to some extent they tried to reach out to them.
Okay, well, we didn't see much of that, but all we saw was the bloodshed and the pain. But anyway, I respect your comment. My next question again, please don't take it personal. Some of these questions, they would seem personal, but I've been put in a public position. So somehow
I would just want to ask you to please ask me anything you think personal. Anything you think personal.
I go ahead. How is it that a person with your military record against the human rights of our people could today find yourself representing the people of Nimba in the House? Could this be linked to the fact that the grassroots Nimbadians were made to be afraid of national reprisal for their possible involvement in the MPFL activity during 1989 to 1997? Or do you think it was based on their ignorance of your involvement in the past as when they went to the ballot boxes? Also, how do you feel being in such a position of trust for your people during this time of national reconciliation? What is your view as to how we should handle, we meaning the TRC, should handle the pain and grievances that ordinary Liberians have against the result of MPFL so-called senseless retaliation campaign against the elected leadership of this country, meaning the late Samuel Kanyando, especially the portion that extended beyond those deaths during those years from October 1990 to 1997, where thousands and thousands of people died, infrastructure was destroyed, all because of politics and power-hungry people fighting and killing our people. So that's a heavy question I wanted to just share with you. I think it's my duty just to ask that. I'm not making it a personal issue. But
no, yes, sir. Your question is quite in place. Let me start off by saying that the truth is, two wrong can never make a right. The fact that you hate me, done me, if I hate you in retaliation, that is right. And I think I believe, and I hope a lot of people believe in redemption. And as I grew older in life, it's also taught me that, which is a fact, that sometimes you lose your life in order to learn how to live your life. Meaning that with all of what we've gone through, or with all of what we've what we continue to go through. All of us have several sizes, and so every human being, there is a good side and there is a bad side. And again, that's why I regret this war, and I continue to regret it for as long as I live. That the people of Nimba, with a population of almost 500,000, would elect me to represent them, and in the views of other Liberians, that I am this person who was involved in a war, who brought suffering to people. It's hard in a third person's view to put it together. But Mr. Chairman, members of the TRC and Liberians, what I can say to you is that bad things happen to people. And I never started my life to end up this way and to be here. And for whatever reason, the people of Nimba chose to elect me. To them, I am grateful, and I shall remain grateful for where I am now, representing the people of Nimba. Based on all of this information that were provided you from people who came and testified before you, this is how they saw me. And based upon what they told you, this is how you are beginning to evaluate me. But I am so sure that with all of those adjectives that have been employed to qualify me, and there are still some good. And it is that good that I hope I can find within myself to be able to make a contribution to my people from Nimba and the people from Liberia. And again, sir, I don't deny that while I was associated with this fighting force, I may have done those things that brought suffering to people. I'm not going to sit before you here and deny that. Even if I stand here and say, I don't remember doing this, the fact that somebody was sitting, not expecting me or the troops that I was with, getting close to there, shot a gun and they pee on himself, that alone is suffering that I brought upon them. And we all make choices in life, and some good, some bad, and sometimes these choices tend to make us. But sir, don't forget the fact that like any other human being, I wanted the best life had to offer. And the only way I could have been there was to go to school like I did, to try to be somebody. If somewhere along the line I fell short, which I also don't deny, and I am able, if I can, I am able to right those wrongs that I may have done, I can only hope that I have the opportunity to see if I can right those wrongs that I may have done. But living in denial can never right those wrong that you do. You must first acknowledge what you did. And by the same token, because you want redemption, you don't come and say those things that you know within yourself you didn't do, it never happened. And that the people of Nimba elected me, sir, I am well schooled. I may have my shortcomings. I am well schooled. I was not just a student. I was not like among the bottom 5. I was somewhere in the middle. And my interaction with my colleagues prior to all of these things happening, meaning the war, I feel very, very capable, minus those adjectives that have been attributed to me, for the fact that I was associated with this warring faction. So don't make me incapable of representing the people of Nimba. And from whence we've come, sir, with all due respect to you and due respect to the listening public, if there's anything that I can do to protect the people of Nimba, the people of Liberia, that is within reach, I will do it. And in the process, war is not a good thing. It brings about destruction. And as to why Mr. Taylor brought war on an elected government like you alluded to, again, sir, too wrong don't make a right. The fact that Doe did it to Tolbert didn't mean Taylor should do it to Doe. And the fact that Taylor did it to Doe didn't mean Laird should do it to Taylor. But the reality is that these things happen. And I can only hope, which is a faint hope, that it didn't happen. But in reality, it happened. And why it happened, I won't know. Could it have been avoided? I guess it could. How? If from time past we've been able to be one another's brother's keeper, where it's not us and them, where it's all of us, where we try to bridge this divide, probably these things would not have happened. Where maybe I look at your misfit to be my misfit, and I look at your happiness to be my happiness, these things would not have happened. But there is no equal word. The word is not equal. There will always be category of people. There will be the very poor, there will be the poor, there will be the middle class, the upper middle class, and it will go on. So while all of these things happen, I can only wish they didn't happen. Do I sanction all of these things that happen? I don't. Will be my answer, sir. I hope I was able to.
Okay. Thank you for that answer. Then I will ask you the next one. You have confessed that most of your involvement with the civil conflict was not voluntary, but linked to your being a type of victim of circumstance yourself. Is that correct, basically?
Well, sir, all of us were victims of circumstances.
Okay, yeah. While such a statement reflects poorly on your character regarding righteousness, because, for example, Many people lived through the war and didn't have to take up guns at all, and God protected their lives, and they're still here with us. I can understand what you are saying, though. I'm not denying that. Yet history has recorded your actions as criminal against your fellow human beings. So, what do you have to say about that from your own heart?
Well, that history have recorded me as the adjective you just employed. Mm-hmm. What do I have to say about that? Mm-hmm. Sir, nobody will want to be referred to as such. Mm-hmm. Nobody will want to be referred to as such. And again, this is no excuse that because I had an incident at the UN compound, at the Lutheran church, therefore I should do this. That's no excuse. Mm-hmm. And Mr. Commissioner, I hope all of us here will realize that the heart is not so smart. And these things happen real fast, and by the time you think about it, it's done. But then having said that, it almost becomes like a quicksand. Once you jiggle, you're in it. It's like, but you said all of this. You left from here and you went to the States. You had an opportunity to stay. Why did you come back? And when you could have stayed? Yes. It's all good that somebody can sit on the other side and give me all of these options without considering what my state of mind may have been at the time. I might have had a very poor judgment. I don't deny that. All of us cannot be lawyers and engineers. We all have these different things that we are involved with. And I made wrong choices. I stand by that. I made wrong decisions. And so, like I said, one of those things that I was really involved with, that nobody really had to ask me, that I volunteered to do, was to go to Nimba and be there for them at the time. And sir, if my doing so was wrong and is also labeled criminal, then sir, to that, I will also tell you that at any point in time, the people of Nimba feel threatened, I will always be there for them. I mean, that is nothing that for where I am, I will find easily to compromise. And if by protecting them will be considered criminal, then sir, to that I would differ. And to this, I can tell you because I know exactly how I got there. That's why I say I'm not here to apportion blame. Nobody told me to go there, nobody told me to go and inspect this or whatever. And if I was involved in a sustained process during this whole episode, sir, and that's what I said, people are alive that you can reference. If I was involved in a sustained military process, that was the sustained military process that I was involved with. And how come maybe it could be like everybody, kind of like know me like that? Knowing somebody is completely different from seeing somebody. And I've been like in a team for a while, and that people won't know me like that. They will know me. And I won't stand before you here, sir, and tell you that the war that was in Nimba, I was not involved in it to the fullest. And in other parts of Liberia, it was an on and off situation where maybe I might go like for a couple of weeks or maybe a month and then come back and go ahead, do my regular business or so. I mean, it was like off and on. But with this one for Nimba, this last situation, there where I went and I stayed and until this hostility came to an end. And I regret everything. I regret everything, and I am sorry about everything. And I say this from the depth of my heart. If I had to do this all over again in a different way, yes, it's possible I could do it different. But finding myself in that same situation, sir, I wouldn't know how different to do it. Probably while leaving from the Lutheran, from UC, from the Lebanese embassy coming towards town, probably if I had seen somebody along the road who said, look, my man, where you going? And I explained my situation, and they kind of like sympathized with my situation and took me away, said, look, come and let's be here, probably it would have been different. But I didn't have those options. And the only other option that was available to me was where I found myself. And it is for this that I continue and will continue to express sorrow and regret.
Thank you very much. Just the last question and I'm finished. You mentioned earlier about this security contract you had with Firestone for $50,000 plus monthly to secure their facility.
Like I said,
Could you just give me some clarity on that? What time frame, first of all, did that contract take place?
So it was sometime around 97.
1997.
I don't remember the exact time, but if I have to make references and the references are there to be made, I can try to figure that out.
So it was during the period of 1997 to 2003, that period?
No, sir. Around 97 to 98.
About a one-year agreement. Okay. And was there any particular threat that they felt, or it was just a normal type, general security, plant security type situation?
Well, sir, if my memory sets me right, I think prior to 92, that was something that I had wanted to, that was a job that I had wanted to apply for, because I remember back in the days, like they used to use like this Hawa Security Service when they had their own outfit. They've been contracting security services over the year, and I think before I even got there, it was this group Exicon that used to be there, you know. So that was something that they had. That was an outfit that they had.
How many manpower did you have during that time? The size of your force, and was it a private force that you had trained, or were you just inheriting a company's force?
No, sir.
To manage?
It was private local people that were hired. I mean, normally the way we do our hiring, for example, if we had a job, for example, like in the St. Clair area, we would try to recruit people from that area. So if it was in, say, Gatos, we would do the same. And I think it started from probably, and I'm not good with that number, these are things that can be found out. It started with probably, I think, like 150 men, and then we started to draw down it because they've always maintained their own private security, and sometimes will outsource some of their work, just like they do with their tappers. They have those tappers that they employ, and then they have other tappers that are contracted.
And during that time, were you clear in the type of people you were hiring? Could some of those people have been ex-combatants themselves during the military period?
Yes, sir.
And yet they were doing this kind of public security force. And they had guns and arms?
No, sir.
It was just a regular uniform with flashlights?
Flashlight and batons. Yeah. Your question was if some of them could have been ex-fighters, that's what you said?
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I understand you answered that. But you said they had no arms?
No, sir.
Okay. So you were working in conjunction with the other security, like the police force at that time?
Yes, sir. I mean, that is standard procedure.
Okay.
Not just with the police, but also with the Firestone security, because they've always maintained a low security outfit.
Okay. Thank you. That's my questions.
Thank you.